Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On the Go Post Show. I'm Danielle Wiggins with Jasmine Monroe. Uh, Lindsay Buckingham joining us again this morning. We're in for a treat when we have 2 days of Lindsay, and as well as Dave Chudowski. And always on the go, we always have varying members of the Go Morning Show team to discuss the topics, the headlines of the day. And remember, this is both on Facebook and YouTube. So as the kids say, make sure you like and subscribe to the WKYC page. But today, it is Tuesday, March 9th, and it is a day, actually the anniversary of the first confirmed COVID case here in Ohio, as well as we saw that it was the 3 people here in Cuyahoga County. And we actually have a social media graphic up right now, really asking you, where were you when you heard the news? And so it says March 9th, Ohio confirmed its first COVID cases 1 year ago. And I've seen a number of you posting that meme of happy 1 year anniversary of the 2 week lockdown to flatten the curve, which actually turned out to be longer than 2 weeks. But, we always verify things. Actually, in Ohio, that stay-at-home order went into effect on March 23rd. So it's not yet that 1 year anniversary of that. But so we look back at a year, and again, you can continue to answer that question. But right now, we're moving forward, and we are looking forward because we had some great news from the governor yesterday during his briefings about expanded eligibility for the vaccine. And Jasmine, you have been on that this morning. So who's now eligible to register starting this week?
Well, Governor Mike DeWine does his press conference very well. Yesterday, he got a chance to say Ohioans 50 and older can get vaccinated on Thursday as part of Group 2B. Now, that's adding another 1.2 million Ohioans to the list. Also, who he said was eligible, those with type 2 diabetes are also eligible on Thursday. So that's the good news. I think the information that people are wanting to know, and I've been covering it, guys. I don't know if you got a chance to actually do it yourself just to see if you can sign up for your vaccination. I just wanted to see this morning, and you can actually do it. And it was very easy. The website is gettheshot.coronavirus.ohio.gov. Again, it's gettheshot.coronavirus.ohio.gov. Very easy information. All you have to do is type in how old you are. It asks you if you're 50 and over or 60 and over. You can say yes or no. And then it pretty much asks you your location, where you're from, if you're a police officer, or any of those eligibility guidelines. It's getting bigger and bigger, the parentheses, all of the things that are included are getting bigger and bigger. So it was really easy. I know oftentimes we do tell stories and then someone will send us information saying, I tried it, there's no appointments available. That was not the case. I did this location. I did the area that I'm living in, Garfield Heights. We did downtown Cleveland. I did Lakewood. All of those places are available. And the good news is the Wolstein Center will be home to the mass vaccinations starting next week. So this is great news coming up on this 1 year anniversary for Ohio. I think a lot of us talked about oh my God, I thought it was 2 weeks. But for me personally, I thought we were going to be in this for a long time. It's weird. The conspiracy theory in me. I remember reading this story about Wuhan in January, and I kept saying oh my God, if this comes to the United States, this is going to be crazy. And then it happened. And I was just up that whole night just reading into the story. And then it ended up happening. So yeah. I don't know, how what you guys were thinking about when it was in Wuhan, but I just had a feeling, I didn't have a good feeling about it. It was just too close. No one was talking about it. We were focused. I think at the time, President Donald Trump was in court or, talking about his thing during that time. So we weren't focused on the right thing during
Well, I mean, who would have known? I always tell Jasmine that she has amazing discernment. That's one thing that just like Jasmine be hitting stuff, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, Jasmine. I'm like, dang, I have to come back like you were right. How did you know?
It's just a feeling. It's so weird. I always tell people, I'm like, oh, I don't have a good feeling. I'm like, don't, and it's just so weird. And I guess, yeah, I mean, Danielle, you're right. My grandma tells me all the time, like, am I gonna hit the lottery? And I'm like, I don't get those feelings. I wish.
Get that feeling, would you?
Yes.
Right?
Well, I mean, go ahead, Dave.
Well, I was just gonna say, for me, and we could, everything Jasmine just said, yes, but for me, really, when it hit home was when they closed the schools, and before that, when the NBA was
that was it. Me.
Done.
The NBA was it for me. Well, Dave, we talked about that last year this time. I was like, oh, this is serious, Dave.
Yeah. When the NBA happened, that's when you knew it was serious. And then other leagues and other things started to follow suit. But just from a personal level with the schools, it was like, wow.
Mm-hmm. I just unprecedented. And that's the word that I think we're probably going to ban that word after the pandemic.
That, normalcy, mask. Well, I'm burying a lot of these words. I'm never going to say them again.
Right. Well, Sue, she has a question really based off of your report, Jasmine. She said, when I checked the site this morning, it only said 60 and older. I need to check again. Well, that's actually because it doesn't get expanded until Thursday. Yeah,
right.
So he announced it yesterday, but Sue, you will not, if you're under 60, or you're in one of those new eligibility classes in terms of your health, you won't be able to have access to that or to make an appointment until Thursday. Right. And we also have some great news. Speaking of, vaccination, I know there's some disproportion, as we expand. The New York Times did a story about, how Blacks are being vaccinated at half the rate, and even more for Hispanics. So hopefully we'll start seeing that number kind of decrease, or that inequities in terms of getting the vaccine start to decrease as more people are eligible to get it. And when more people are eligible to get it, then they'll be fully vaccinated. I do admit my husband, he's a teacher and he is fully vaccinated, but doesn't actually fit the requirements of being fully vaccinated because he just got his second shot on Friday. And so, but the CDC released yesterday some new rules about, not rules, I guess, guidelines about people who are fully vaccinated. And Lindsay, you were on that this morning of what they can do, the freedoms that they have.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything that you guys have been saying, you think about 1 year ago, I think the biggest thing that hit me was, oh my goodness, I can't hug my parents. You can't be around this person and that person. So we're in it a year. I think people have waited long enough for some good news about this. And I think they're finally getting it, because the CDC guidelines now say that if you've been fully vaccinated, anyone who's been fully vaccinated can get together with other fully vaccinated people without masks or social distancing. And they can also get together with unvaccinated people in a single household, but only if they're low risk. I think that's like an important note there, only if they're low risk for severe disease. So still, if you're fully vaccinated, don't gather with somebody who is elderly or maybe has a high risk condition, something like that. The other good news is, if you've been fully vaccinated and you've been exposed to COVID-19, you don't have to quarantine or anything like that, as long as you don't show any symptoms. So if you've been exposed and no symptoms, you're good to go. They're still recommending, though, masks for fully vaccinated people. And they are advised not to gather around those big crowds and stuff. But a lot of you are asking, what does fully vaccinated mean? And I think my buddy Dave has that information.
Yeah.
I do indeed. Well, what it is, all right, so there's multiple ways you can get the shot, right? So according to the CDC, those who took the Moderna or Pfizer's 2-dose vaccine are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after their second shot. So it's 2 weeks after their second shot. For Johnson & Johnson, remember, Johnson & Johnson's a single shot vaccine. So protection is full 2 weeks after the shot. So for Johnson & Johnson, it's 2 weeks after the one shot. So in other words, just keep following these COVID-19 safety guidelines we've been telling you about until you meet these requirements.
Yeah, so that you don't get that full vaccination declaration until 2 weeks after. So that's why earlier I said, my husband, he received his second shot on Friday. So he's not technically safe until 2 weeks from Friday. So for all of you who have been vaccinated and you're like, yeah, just wait,
Yeah.
wait those 2 more weeks there. Lindsay, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say something. This was amazing. So according to the CDC, about 30 million Americans have been vaccinated, but that's only about 9% of the US. But still kind of amazing because the vaccines, the first ones that we gave out, or the US gave out, was back in December. So we still have a long way to go, obviously. But as I said before, for me, even my parents getting the shot a week ago, it's hopeful. Every time somebody gets a vaccine, I think it breeds more hope. And on that 1 year marker, that's what everybody needs right now.
Yeah. And people still having questions, like Barbara. She said, I love watching your show. Watch it every morning. Why is Cleveland and Columbus areas getting thousands of doses, and Canton and North Canton areas only get hundreds of doses? And I believe, I've been reading articles on this, but I want to make sure, I don't know if you guys have this as well, but it's a lot of it is focused on like the density of the population. So, even the national stories are saying a lot of the vaccines are going to more densely populated areas. And so again, that's one of the quirks of this vaccine rollout, because what's happening is people who live in the more rural areas are not finding the appointments or having to drive hours or long distances to get those appointments to get vaccinated. So yeah, we'll continue to really check that and track that as well. And so, just to answer that question as well for you all, we have 1 more minute left of our social graphic. What were you all doing last year this time, Jasmine, Lindsay, Dave, when we found out COVID has entered Ohio?
I want to say we were having like a girls' night, and because this happened, I think I remember Governor Mike DeWine coming on the news, and like I was just watching my phone, and like we were having like a girls' day, and we were talking about quarantining. We were like, listen, if we got a lockdown, we're on a one person's house, and this is how we're gonna do it. But like, I can't remember exactly where I was when I heard it, but I remember being with Denisha, and I was like, do you want to go out for one last drink? And that's what we did. It was like St. Patrick's Day. We still had our like little ears on. And I remember Russ Mitchell saying like, are you guys hanging out?
Not to get you in trouble. And for those of you like, who's Denisha? Denisha is one of our former executive producers. She is now a news director in Memphis. Dave, I know you have to go to the Today Show, so I want to get your answer in before you have to head out.
I'd have to go back and look at my phone to see if I have any pictures to remind myself of this actual anniversary. I remember where I was when the schools were announced. I was actually at a friend's house. We were having a couple lemonades, and I was just like blown away by the news. And I also remember where I was. The other big one too was when the restaurants. Remember, things went in stages.
Yeah,
kinda, and I'll never forget where I was actually at a restaurant when the restaurants found out the news, because we weren't in a complete lockdown yet. And it was like crazy, like to think, and I felt really bad for the people there, knowing that they were going to be shut down and didn't know for how long.
Yeah, it was tough. And for those of you, that was Denisha that Jasmine put the photo up. Dave, I know you have to go, so he's not going to be rude if he hops off while we wait for Lindsay's answer.
Great
Dave, do you remember being that close to Maureen?
Oh, I was there a picture?
Yeah.
It was a video. It's like on my Instagram.
Oh, okay. It didn't pop up on mine.
Can you see
yeah,
it?
I mean, it's crazy. And you know what I wonder? I wonder, like, when we do go back to that, like, will we be farther apart, or will we go back to that? But I don't know.
We shall see. Dave, you got to go before the director gets upset with me.
Yeah,
but Lindsay, go ahead. Well, what
you guys are gonna laugh at me, or maybe not. Maybe you'll relate. So I fully admit that I was one of the people that went to the grocery store and just bought like everybody out of house and home. And I went up to the checkout with two carts. And the guy was like, "Is that all?" I'm like, he said, "Am I the only one that did this?" He's like, "No," but he just started laughing. I'm like, "I'm sorry. I don't know what's going to happen." I came home and my kids are like, "Are we dropping off groceries to people?" I'm like, "No, this is for us." We had to put some in the garage. We ran out of
Lindsay,
room.
are you the one that everybody was mad at because you bought up all the toilet paper and cleaning supplies?
There was no toilet paper when it went, but yes, before we, everyone was like, "Don't go to the grocery store. That's not good." Before I knew that, I was one of the people that went and just bought out the whole store because I didn't know what was going to happen. So.
Hoarding. Here we go. Lindsay's prepared. She got 2 kids she has to take care of. All righty. Well, H.I. Smith says that my friend is an ER doctor at the hospital in the state of Washington where the first case hit in the U.S. I remember when she mentioned it in an exercise Facebook group that we are in. So really reminiscing there. Someone else, Carol, who is watching from Largo, Florida, and she said, "What is the website again to sign up for the shot?" So if you're in Florida, then that's not going to apply because that's strictly for Ohio then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine?
Yeah, but it's also for this, I feel like you can once you put in your zip code, it'll show you the location.
Yeah, well, Carol, maybe you have loved ones in Ohio while you're asking for that. So go ahead, Jasmine.
It's gettheshot.coronavirus.ohio.gov. Again, gettheshot.coronavirus.ohio.gov. So just when you put, I feel like when you put your zip code in, it connects you to whatever location. So good luck with that.
Yeah. For those of you watching on Facebook, we have it linked in the comment section so you can go ahead and see it there. If you're watching on YouTube, go to wkyc.com and we have it there as well. So thank you all for joining us for this on the go post show on this 1-year anniversary of when it was confirmed that coronavirus has hit Ohio. Boy, a lot has changed in a year, but we do have some bright spots coming up. So as we know, we're all in this together and we'll get through this together. Thank you for taking the time out to spend a few minutes of your day with us on the On The Go Post Show. We will see you tomorrow morning starting at 4:30 a.m. on Go. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.